Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. I'm joined in studio by Brian Leonard and Preston, the Sports Cheetah. We're going to break down NC State and Florida State. Florida State heads into NC State after a tough game last week against Clemson. And the question I'm going to start with, I'm going to throw to you two guys. How does Florida State get themselves back up? Because what do they have to play for at this point in time? A team that's always playing for a national championship or the ACC championship. All of that's gone. We like to talk about the dream crusher. They got no goals left.
Yeah, Ralph Michaels was telling me the stat that Florida State was 43-4. Now they're 5-4. Obviously not the same team as what they've had in the past. And yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I think they're in for a letdown here. And they've already beaten NC State the last 3 times they've played them. So it's a situation that you think the air might be finally out of the tires for Florida State.
Yeah, last week against Clemson, Preston, they fell behind 14-0 right away. I'll admit I was on Clemson. I was feeling pretty good. And then they clawed their way back into the game, had the lead. Clemson came back, took the game at the end of the game. How, if you're a coach, if you're Jimbo Fisher, how do you motivate this team? I know you've got the psychology major. I think that they need you this week to get them pumped up for this game.
I don't have enough experience actually working with athletes to probably make much of a difference. I trust Jimbo. I think the angle that they really can take, at least to his quarterback who's young, and Francois, a freshman, is we need to get better, and we're going to have opportunities next year and the year after to make a run. And it might be harder to instill that type of motivation or confidence in some of the seniors or players on defense or whatever it might be. But at least a quarterback, I think, is going to be preparing like he needs to be. He's young and he still has a long way to go and grow. So I think that's kind of the angle I would take if I was Jimbo, is focusing on the future. And whether it works or not remains to be seen. I was the early openers Sunday were like 5.5, and I was surprised how sharp of a number that was. I passed, and then when Wynn opened and Chris and Pinnacle and everything was coming up, there were 7.5 across the board Sunday evening, and so we scooped it. We took plus 7.5, and I woke up Monday and they were all gone. I don't even think there's 6s left. So I do like NC State, and it was a play. I wouldn't bet it now at 5.5, but if it does for some reason get back up to 7. I think that's the right side. So I like the Wolfpack, and we took it early.
Yeah, I did the same thing. He must have taken the last 7.5 because I only got 7. But yeah, and it's back down to where it should be. I don't know where that opening line, unless they were trying to set it up for later in the week, who knows. But NC State was on my video podcast last week. Lose straight up at home as a 15-point underdog. The late money came down. They went down as the game approached, so that's not always a good sign. But and they didn't even win straight up. So I like NC State in the situation. The spot's really good for them. But after last week,
I'm going to talk about last week because I know you had NC State on that one on the video, but in all honesty, that was a sandwich spot. They had played Louisville the game before. They played Clemson and Louisville. They had the big games back to back where they almost beat Clemson. Then they got just throttled by, Louisville. You would have thought being a bounce back game for them last week, and I can understand what you were looking at, but I just don't think they ever recovered from the Clemson game. And then Louisville just took it to them. And then they had Florida State on deck, which just looked like it would be a big game. If Florida State would have upset Clemson last week, how big of a game would this been for them at home? I'm going to give them the shot here, and I know we lost some of the value, but I actually think they win the game outright. If Florida State comes to play, God bless them. They're going to get they're going to take my money from me. I just can't see them. This is a team that coming into the season, they brought everybody back. Everybody was talking about how many players they were bringing back, and this was going to be Florida State's year back to glory, and they just haven't done it. And the one thing that has given them trouble is quarterbacks that can throw the football this year have had success. NC State can move the ball. Now, I know it didn't show up last week, but Boston College does have a good defense. Their offense sucks, but their defense has been good the last couple of years. So I'm going to give them another shot this week. I say take NC State plus the points. Brian?
I agree. It's decidable. Go.
Real quick, I think something worth doing potentially could just be playing them on the money line. I kind of agree if we're right about NC State, they're going to run. I think they're going to roll. if we're wrong and Florida State shows up and NC State's just pretty bad as we've seen the last few weeks, then Florida State might cover, pretty easily. So getting like a plus 170, 175, and only losing, even money if you do lose the bet might be a fine option if you don't like taking plus 5.
Also in game, if you see Florida State comes
Sure.
up fired up, it's
Yeah.
a different way to look at it.
All right. Hey, guys, if you want to save $10 this week at Wager Talk, use coupon code. Hey, there's a big game in Alabama LSU this week, so we're going to go with Roll Tide in the number 10. That's Roll Tide in the number 10, and you can save $10 this week on any package at Wager Talk. You could use it on that weekend all access, $69. Get one capper, all of his plays, Thursday through Monday. Check it out at wagertalk.com. We'll be back with more.